Hello, this is the Admiral from RouletteSurgery.com, and in this video tutorial I would like to explain you the basic functions of our spin analyzer tool and how you can create your own custom strategies and profiles within this program. All of the steps I will be performing during this tutorial are also possible without having a Roulette Surgery account, but I will be using a signed-in session. As you can see, I could log out now in this tutorial, so everything I will be doing is saved to the database, and we can refer to this in later tutorials as well. Alright, to launch the spin analyzer you have to click on the software tab on the Roulette Surgery main page and press the launch spin analyzer button in the next step. As you can see, the program loads really quick, and we are currently watching the overview screen of the spin analyzer. The overview screen is one of multiple tabs of the spin analyzer. Each of those tabs here have been designed in the same way as on the Roulette Surgery main page. I'm going to give you a quick overview on all of those tabs. Let's start with the overview tab first. The overview screen is your main control panel for this program during an active playing session. Here we have our table simulator, which basically is the main input element of this program. Here you can input all spins you get from the casino, and as soon as you, for example, I'm pressing all the reds here in this case, and we have a default strategy active which waits for a number of reds to occur, and then it will begin betting on the black numbers. Now we're betting on a black number, and you can see we, in this win balance panel here, we also made 10-cent winnings. Now we want an odd number, we are getting an odd number, and now we also have 20-cent earnings already. This is just a brief example. But it's also possible that if you wanted to type in, for example, the 26 and for some reason mistakenly press the 25, then you just can press the undo button, go back, and then type in the 26. And if you find out that the 22 was wrong as well, then you can do undo as well 2 times and then press the 12, for example. And now we had a 29, which was basically all of those betting types that have been highlighted here, and now we made a winning of 50 cents in this case. What we also have is the possibility to create a random spinning output here using the random numbers generator, which basically will spin out completely randomly generated numbers, which is a good possibility for you to test your profiles and strategy setups before you start playing on a real casino. Alright, just for a brief example, I'm resetting this now so I can explain you the other inputs here as well. We have the account balance panel where you can, in this case it was 100 euros, where you can type in the amount of money you are currently using for this playing session. Then you can define a win limit, which is the amount of money you want to win, and then leave the casino. For example, in this case this was 25 euros. We have a max loss limit, which is the amount of money that you want to lose at most in any case. That means if you set this to, let's say, 20, then you will not lose any more money than down to 80 euros in this case. We also have the streak loss limit. The streak loss limit is, well, I usually should set the streak loss limit, but this is just my opinion, to a value between the max loss limit and the win limit. You should set it higher than the max loss limit in any case and lower than the win limit. So you will basically, if you start playing and you make your way up to, let's say, 21 euros, and then all bets going on from this moment are losses, complete losses. Then we will go down to, from 121 euros down to 101, and then you will reach the streak loss limit, and the streak loss limit will tell the program that it should stop now. This means also, it means even if you lost all the bets from 121 euros onwards, then you still have made €1 in total because you hit the streak loss limit. Just for how this inputs. Then we have also some additional displays here. We have the spin counter, which basically just counts the amount of numbers that were put in here. I put one number here, spin count, current spin 1, current spin 2, current spin 3, current spin 4. And as soon as I am going to win a bet or lose a bet, in this case we have evens and 19 to 36. Then if I hit an even bet here, I will have a win on an even bet. And I don't have a loss here because this bet only counts as a loss if the whole progression is a loss. Just for your so that you have an example. I would now like to alright, I didn't get it right now. Alright, we already reached the €3.20 limit here, which is depending on the save limit you typed in here in the strategy setup, the maximum amount of money that will be bet on this betting type. Then I hit this here and we lost the amount here. Right. So now we have also what is currently inactive, the round timer. The round timer defines the amount of minutes that you want to play. I usually set this to 20 minutes because in the most casinos you can make quite much money until you play up to 20 minutes, but after 20 minutes something in those algorithms change, and then you will make much more losses and you are getting much stranger number progressions than before reaching this time limit usually. You also have the possibility to flip your table display. Maybe you want to align this display to the way the casino presents the table to you, or whatever you prefer. And of course we also have a display graph here which explains our, let's set it back to 100, 100,000, which explains our current winning situation. I will set this to 50 now, so you have a better overview of this here. And if I'm starting the random motion, we will see this red line which changes its form. This basically indicates the current amount of money you have at this moment of the time. As you can see, we are currently in the positive amount of money, and this line will raise up in this case. Now we make not that much winnings, and now we hit the streak loss limit because we made our way up to 69.1 euros. You can see the blue line here is the highest balance you ever had, and now we went down 20 euros in this case, and we still have 49.10 euros, so you only lost 90 cents in total in this case. What I would like to show you now is how you can create your own profile setups. Therefore, I would like you to switch to the profile management screen, and as you can see, we have two different tables here. The left one, the select profile table, is a table where you can select using this drop-down menu between all profiles you have already created, for example. And as you can see, each profile is linked with a different casino setup and different strategy setups. For our tutorial, I would like to create a new profile, which I will call tutorial 1. And of course, we still have to select this tutorial 1 setup. And as you can see now, we have no active strategies here, and the default casino setup linked with every profile you create is always the default bet version of Zero Table. And in this case, I would like to use all strategies, and what we have to do now is to create our desired casino setup now, and we also have to create our own tutorial default strategy setup, reverse repeating strategy setup, and NSPA strategy setup. Let's begin with the casino setup. To create a new casino table setup, you have either two possibilities. On the one hand, you can select one of the already given table setups here with their native values and save them under a different name as a new setup, or you can also choose one of those setups and just modify those values to save it under a new name as well. In this case, I would like to create an American table. I change these table limits for the events onto 600 euros. And I would like to have each minimum betting unit to be €1. Alright. I'm gonna save this under the name Tut American. Alright, and if I'm gonna select this Tut American table setup here now, I have an American table with the values I changed. If I go back to the European table now, I have an European table selected, and I still have the old values here. And if you want to change an existing table setup, you just select it here. And for example, this has been 400, 300, 300. I am changing this to 400. Leave this name field here blank and just type the save button. Now this data has been saved. And check it if we switch to another table and back to the Tut American table. As you can see, instead of 300, 300, we have 400, 400 here now. Having created our casino setup here, we can now move on to create our own strategies. As you can see, the Tut American table is now also selected into our profile as the current casino setup. To create new strategies, we will begin with the default strategy. I'm going to create a new default strategy under the name Tut default. And for this strategy, I only want to use dozens, rows, lines, and corners. So I'm going to disable the streets, events, trials, splits, and straights. And I also would like to disable eye raising for corners and lines for this case. The minimum maximum start values are okay so far, and I'm gonna accept this now. To select our new strategy, we have to use this drop down menu again, Tut default, and what I would like to change now is to use the betting unit of €1 each. To change all betting units simultaneously, you can select one of those info fields here, which is also the header of each row. I mean column. And you can type in €1 here. And then every betting unit is being set to €1. Because this betting unit is a bit higher than the original value, we have also to change our safe limit. In this case, I would like to change the safe limit to €25 each bet. Means the progression will automatically stop when it lost more than €25. We are doing this in a similar way for the reverse repeating strategy, which I will be calling Tut RR. In this case, I would like only to use the dozens and rows, and I would like to have a betting unit of €5. So I'm changing this to Tut RR, changing the betting unit to €5, and the safe limit of €40 is okay, I think. And to have maximum security when using the reverse repeating strategy, I also activate the eye raising system. Then I'm also setting up an NSPA strategy, which I will call Tut NSPA. I only would like to use the straight betting types. the starting value is okay, and I want to use a betting unit of €1. And of course I also have to select it here. If we go back to the profile management screen again, we can now see that every strategy that is active has the corresponding tutorial strategy setup that I just created as well. Having created all the necessary setups for our tutorial profile, we can now go to the overview screen and test our setups with the built-in random numbers generator of the spin analyzer. Because we have chosen rather high betting units, I will be using a bit higher account values and also a bit larger limits in this case, just so you have a little impression how this works if you're playing with a bit higher amounts of money. The max loss limit is okay. Then the sleek loss limit will be set to 75, which is exactly between the win limit and the max loss limit. The run timer will stay off because the random numbers generator is a test case, which is in any case much faster than any casino spin output could ever be. And then we are good to go. Let's begin. Of course, you should keep in mind that this random numbers generator test is not always exactly accurate in comparison with a casino algorithm test, because in the most cases a casino has a bit more complicated random numbers generators than this spin analyzer has. And alright, now you can see we reach the win limit. Stop sign with blue and green balance lines with a golden light in the middle always displays you reach the win limit and you can now stop playing. Of course, it would be a mistake to conclude from this rather good results during the first test run that our profile that we just created and our strategies will always perform that well. To gain empirical results, you should always test your newly created profiles and strategies for at least 10 times, but I'd even recommend you to test it 100 or 1,000 times before trying to use your new setups in a real casino. And what is also a possibility to check how your strategy performs is the statistics tab. Here we have the possibility to see what our strategy actually did during the last round. As you can see, we have selected our round 43. And if you look into the profile data section of this record details, you can see we have our tutorial 1 strategy here. We have the Latin American casino setup and even our strategy setups here. The general data of this statistics details shows us how many spins we had, how many bets were actually placed, which amount of money we had at the beginning, with which amount of money we ended the session, how many euros we actually bet in total, and how many euros we actually won during this session. And as you can see, we made 23 winnings and 81 losses. But losses in this case means we also had a lot of NSPA bets after the 105th spin. And every NSPA bet that is not hit and the moment it is placed is also called a loss. I maybe should modify this part of the record details to differentiate between the losses on strategies and winnings on strategies. Included in the statistics tab is also the number analysis, which shows the percentual occurrences of single numbers or specific betting types. In this case, you can see the even betting types, the corners for example, and even the direct straight hits. What we also have here, and what I personally think is the most important part of the statistics tab, is the history visualization. Here we can see a detailed graph of our performance during the session of this statistic, and we also have the possibility to differentiate between a combined graph and different strategies. As you can see, in using the combined graph, we have our 360 euros type here, and here would be the 250 euros where the balance graph actually starts. But when using the differentiation between the strategies, we will only see the amount of money that each strategy generated itself. We also have the possibility to disable and enable the different displays for the strategies. And it always goes that way: red, blue, green for the first three ones. And if I disable the first one, then the originally third one, the NSPA strategy in this case, will be blue from now on. I can also disable the reverse repeating strategy, and then the NSPA strategy will also be blue. Using only the NSPA strategy, then it will directly be red in this case. And what is also possible is that we can see what has been bet during a specific spin. And see, on spin 192 we only had a dynamic straight bet. On spin 191 we also had a line bet, and as you can see here, the line bet seems to be run directly because before we had the last spin we had a bit lower graph here, and then we won by 5 units in this case. We can have a visualization for almost every one of these spins here, and well, you can go back and you can see all the bettings you made during a single spin. And what I actually forgot is that you also have the possibility to reuse some of the data you have here. So if I'm going to reset this session and enabling all the inputs here again, we have also the possibility to refer on an older session, and we can also load for example, the numbers of this last session. You can see we don't have any numbers in here, and if I load these numbers into the buffer, then we have exactly the same number history in here again. This is especially useful if you would like to play from at a later time from the same situation again than you had when you left the game. And of course you can also delete this record because it is now, as you can see, we have the 192 spins in here, but nothing happened because this is just the buffer, and every time I press the reset button, the actual situation of the game will be saved into a new statistics file. Because this one is empty, we can just delete it. Alright, and what you can also do is, if you want to use a specific profile from the history and you still have it in here, you can just, for example, you see the strategy here and you see that it made quite a lot of money, and you want to use this system here right now, then you can look out. Here we have the BFAR current strategy. Then you can just press the use as current configuration button, and now we are using actually this configuration for the current session. Alright, so far I hope this tutorial was very informative so far, and you can actually know now how you can set up the spin analyzer. If there are still any questions from this moment on, you can always contact me at theadmiral@roulettesurgery.com or directly register at our forums located on roulettesurgery.com/forums. Forum. It is not forums, it is /forum without an S. And so far this was the first tutorial for roulettesurgery.com. I hope you enjoyed it, and just visit our website for further content and more news. Thanks for watching.